to the Pull List. I'm your host, Brian Heinz. Now, this is a satellite show from my main show, Comic Book Issues, where I review one comic book per week and then give you a whole month's worth of reviews at once. I did take some time off recently to finish my latest DVD, The Last Angry Geek, Volume 2. Here, I'll give you a 3D effect. What was that? You can find the sales link in the video description below. But now I'm back, and we're going to dive right into the month of July 2019. As always, we're going to start with one final comic from the last week of the previous month. So up first, it's War of Realms number 6. Well, this has been one of the better Marvel events. Normally their events are too long. Well, this was only 6 issues. Normally the artist craps out about halfway through and they have to get a replacement artist while the original artist tries to finish the last couple of issues in time for the series to end at a reasonable rate. Nope. Russell Dauterman drew all 6 issues. And nothing of consequence usually happens at these events. Nope. The destroyed Mjolnir hammer is reforged, and Thor gets past all this unworthy crap to once again wield it and defeat Malekith, the Dark Elf who invaded Earth. And Malekith gets a Lion King-worthy ending for his treachery. It's pretty good. It's a very cool story, since the only one who can stop the Dark Elf is Thor. He summons a team of Thors from various points in his timeline. We've got the young Thor, modern Thor, old Thor. Jane gets her mojo working again briefly to become Thor. So the 4 of them take on Malekith and his minions at once. Kind of a loophole to this prophecy that's stopping anyone else on Earth from saving the day. Really, from issues 1 through 6, this adventure has been very good. It's had a lot for everyone in the Marvel Universe to do. The Avengers and all the other Marvel heroes are here doing stuff in this final issue. It's not just Thor beating up an elf. It's dramatic, and it didn't feel like the story ever dragged or went on too long or focused too much on one part of the story that wasn't as interesting as the other parts. This was a very well-balanced, well-written story. My suggestion to you? Well, of course, you can go and buy all the back issues if you want to read it right now, but for you guys, I would wait and get the trade paperback when it comes out so you can read it all in one sit-down, and there'll always be some cool extras they throw in there. Plus, you can always get the trades on Amazon for a little cheaper than the sales price in bookstores, although nothing wrong with paying full price. Bookstores need your business. For week 2, it's Lois Lane number 1, the first issue in a 12-issue maxi series, written by Greg Rucka and drawn by Mike Perkins. This isn't the perky reporter who gets in over her head story. If you know me, you know I'm a big fan of Greg Rucka's writing, going back to Gotham Central up until Lazarus over at Image. Now, this is a tie-in book to Bendis' Leviathan Rising event, and this issue is just the first in a 12-issue maxi series. It's good, old-fashioned noir detective work. Lois is the only one who can figure out who murdered a reporter colleague of hers. She's using her own investigator to help her, and since Rucka is writing it should be no surprise that it's Renee Montoya. But even better yet, Renee is finally back as the Question. I am so excited about this, because Renee's transition into the Question back in the 52 maxi series, that was actually 52 issues, 1 per week, was one of my favorite parts of that story. And Greg Rucka wrote that as he wrote her in Gotham Central. Even though Vic Sage is still alive and over in the main event Leviathan book working for Batman, so now Renee is the Question in this book. We don't know why she's back as the Question, but I'm sure we'll find out in the next 11 issues. But as Lois launches an investigation into her colleague's death, she also humiliates the White House press secretary, always great, gives Perry at the Daily Planet a front-page scoop, and still finds time to play sexy shower games with the Man of Steel. This is Lois Lane as she should be written, the most competent, fearless woman with a journalism degree on the planet. Mike Perkins on art is perfect. He's not overly stylized, but he's great at drawing expressions and different faces. Always a nitpick of mine. I hate it when everyone's face looks the same, but only the hair or the outfits are different. Some artists do that, and it can work for their style, but I like it when the people look different in the comic book. And also Paul Mounts, who is a very good colorist, is coloring this book, and he does a lot of great shading with the colors to give it that noir feel. My suggestion, buy it. This is one of my favorite writers writing one of DC's most iconic characters, and it's exactly as she should be. Lois is at the heart of a maelstrom, and she wouldn't have it any other way. For week 3, it's giant-size Ecstatics number 1. A ways ago, Peter Milligan and Mike Allred took over X-Force, and they turned it into a reality TV superhero show that made mutants the biggest celebrities on the planet, before renaming it Ecstatics, and eventually the book ended with almost everyone dying. The book was a satire in media and fame in the age of YouTube and reality TV. Well, they're back. As we follow dead teammate You Go Girl's sister, whoops, but really she's her illegitimate daughter who inherits Mom's teleporting power and gray skin. The team, partially made of survivors of that doomed final mission and partially of new recruits made of the children of dead teammates, along with Dupe, naturally, get together in a fight with a new team of mutants who are being led by former Ecstatics leader Zeitgeist, long thought dead. This book hasn't missed a beat. It's just as good as it ever was. It's still full of humor, and it's painfully self-aware of today's social media and the much lower bar for the term celebrity. Allred's art is as impressive as ever, and this team is going to relaunch X-Statix as a new book, X-Cellents, which is the name of Zeitgeist's new supervillain team. My only complaint is that the new members of the team are all just children who have inherited their parents' powers, which is not usually how mutations work. You don't inherit dad's mutant power, you have your own mutant power. But it was just kind of a cheap way to come up with newer, hipper versions of the dead characters, but still keep those powers in place so they didn't have to rethink the team dynamic too much. It was a little lazy. But they do get some genuine moments of emotion out of it, especially with Yugo Girl's daughter, who has to deal with her new mutations and her resentment for her absentee mother. My suggestion? Buy it. It is a one-shot, and it's going to lead into this new series, but if you're a fan of the old series, it's like no time has passed. For those of you who haven't read it and are not sure you want to read the new series, buy this one-shot. It'll give you an exact flavor of what you're going to get, and you can decide whether or not you're going to want to read X-Cellents. And for week 4, it's the second issue of Transformers Ghostbusters, a crossover written by Eric Burnham and drawn by Dan Schoening. In the first issue, Gozer destroyed Cybertron after Starscream accidentally imagined himself as a giant king wearing a crown, and that's their Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Then the Autobots who had already fled Cybertron before this happened detect a Transformer signal on Earth, and scientist Ectonimus Diamatron travels to Earth, taking on the form of a now destroyed Ecto-1, just as the Ghostbusters catch the ghost of Starscream, who we remember after the movie would eventually become a ghost and haunt the Transformers. He even showed up in Beast Wars once. It was a whole thing. In this issue, Ectronimus reveals himself to the Ghostbusters and makes contact with Starscream. Starscream obviously wants his physical form back, but the only one who can help him with that are the Autobots. But since Ectronimus was damaged coming to Earth, he'll need the Ghostbusters' help to construct a signal to summon them to Earth. Starscream then, in a flashback, explains how a mysterious entity named Kremzek showed up and offered the Decepticons a way to survive Gozer, but did so by transforming them all into ghosts. When one of her servants is seen on Earth, the Ghostbusters attempt to capture the creature, but it destroys the trap that it was captured in. The art is decent. It's using that version of the Ghostbusters we see in the IDW comics, but this is primarily a Transformers story with the Ghostbusters just in it. So far, Venkman and the gang just haven't had that much to do, and all the action has been brief or shown in backstory. It's been decent, but these 2 issues aren't great. My suggestion? Wait. Buy this when it's all available at once, or get it digitally when it's on sale. Nothing I'm seeing here screams buy me right away. It's been decent, but I'm not seeing anything that says you should be paying the cover price right now. Well, that's it for these 4 issues. Thank you for joining me back here on the pull list. Be sure to check out my Patreon page, and you can follow me on Twitter at @NGeekWeTrust. Until then, I will see you back here next month for the next edition of the Pull List when we review the comics of August 2019. Until then, this is the Pull List, and I'm your host, Brian Heinz.